Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome here to the launch pad and our live docking coverage of Progress 87 docking to the International Space Station. We are now roughly 44 minutes away from docking of the Progress spacecraft to the International Space Station. We're waiting for NASA and Roscosmos to begin their live coverage to give us that final rendezvous and docking carrying the cargo resupply. As always, as we get started, take a moment, let us know where you're watching from in the chat. Lots of people tuning in. We got Master Lord in Berlin, Peter's in the UK. We got Tonto staying up late in Lincoln, Nebraska. We got JD in North Carolina. Kevin's in Ohio. Great to have you all here. We got Raphael in the Philippines. And Aditya is on planet Earth. We got Japan, Germany. Great seeing you all joining us. Staying up a little bit late here for tonight's docking. Keeping a look forward, we also have a bright and early launch in the morning of a India GSLV rocket that we hope you'll join us for as well. While we wait for NASA and Roscosmos to begin, if you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat by tagging us at the launch pad, and we'll work on answering those live to the best of our ability. If you haven't yet, take a moment, engage the like button, share the stream, and it really does help us out as well. While we wait here, we are expecting them to get underway just a minute or two. I'll quickly switch over my screen here so you guys can have a look. We just lost the view of the cameras on board the station, but the station currently passing over China. We hope we'll have a reacquisition of signal for live views here in the near distant future, but with 45 minutes, less than 45 minutes of docking, we're hopeful that we'll actually have live views of station at the time. If you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat by tagging us at the launch pad, and I'll work on answering those live. We got Coral tuning in from Australia, Scott's in Bangkok, we got Bob Brinks in Billings, Montana, Sharon's in India, Gordon's in Orlando, and great to have you here. Denise, to you from California, Piper Sales in Indiana, we got Georgia, lots of people tuning in. Glad to have you here. NASA should be getting underway here in just a minute or two, and as I click our screen, there you go, those live views back from the International Space Station on the left side of your screen. We're going to be keeping a close eye on those as we continue through the countdown to rendezvous and docking here this evening, and once we have that live coverage from NASA, we will patch that in, but keep those live views of the station throughout the docking, as we hopefully will be able to see Progress approach the International Space Station during today's rendezvous. On board is a whole bunch of food, fuel, cargo, research supplies, everything that's needed for the crew. We see this happen every through about 4 months or so. Head up to the International Space Station. We see a couple a year from Russia and a couple a year from the United States. NASA is getting all spooled up here on their live coverage, and we're going to patch them in and listen in to NASA and Roscosmos Mission Control as Progress MS-26 rendezvous and docks to the International Space Station. Stay with us.
Good evening and good morning from Mission Control in Houston and the International Space Station Flight Control Room. As flight controllers here in Houston, working with their counterparts half a world away at the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov outside Moscow, are monitoring the progress of a Progress, the uncrewed ISS Progress 87 resupply craft that is in the home stretch of a 2-day journey to the International Space Station to deliver 2.7 tons of food, fuel, and supplies for the expedition's 70 crew aboard the International Space Station. The journey of the Progress 87 began 2 days ago with its launch from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. All of the rendezvous maneuvers that have been pre-programmed into the Progress craft have been executed to perfection. The Progress now closing in on about the 5-kilometer mark away from its port of call, which will be the aft port of the Zvezda service module for its automated docking that is scheduled just under 40 minutes from now. The 2.7 tons of cargo aboard the Progress breaks down to exactly 5,551 pounds of cargo, 3,258 pounds of dry cargo, 1,279 pounds of fuel, 926 pounds of water, and 88 pounds of nitrogen. Once the docking occurs, you'll hear the calls for contact and capture. The relative motion between the two docking interfaces, the forward docking probe on the Progress itself and the docking port on the Zvezda service module. There will be a few seconds to allow that relative motion to dampen out before the forward docking probe is retracted to bring the two docking interfaces flush against one another. Hooks will then begin to close to form a hard mate, and Progress will be at its final destination, hard mated to the International Space Station, after which leak checks will be performed by the Russian cosmonauts on the Russian segment of the International Space Station before the hatches will be opened to begin unloading that cache of cargo. About an hour ago, the Core's automated rendezvous system was activated on the Progress vehicle and on the passive side on the Zvezda service module. This is a rendezvous system that basically bounces radio signals off one another to measure the range of the Progress for its docking to the station, as well as its rate of closure in meters per second. All of that checked out fine. The Progress television system has been activated, as well as the Taurus system, the telerobotically operated rendezvous system that is being manned this evening by Russian cosmonauts Oleg Kononenko and Nikolai Chub at a control panel in the service module itself. In the unlikely event a failure would occur in the Core's automated system, they can take over manual control of the flying of the Progress for a docking to the aft port of the service module. While flight controllers here in Houston are watching over their consoles, the same is true for the Russian flight controllers at the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov outside of Moscow. They are in charge of this operation this evening. The Russian cosmonauts were awakened several hours ago to begin preparations for tonight's docking of the Progress 87 cargo craft. The rest of the crew on board the International Space Station will be awakened a short time from now. They will be awakened at the time of docking, which is scheduled at 12:12 a.m. Central Time, 1:12 a.m. Eastern Time. This is a view from a balcony camera at the Russian Mission Control Center, in which they're watching the overlay of the Progress vehicle. That is the data screen that you see in the right-hand corner of your screen. We will be getting views of the Progress from stations on board, from cameras on board the International Space Station a short time from now, as the Progress moves into the close quarters in the neighborhood of the International Space Station. The Progress will begin an automated fly-around of the station less than 13 minutes from now at a radial distance of about 400 meters away from the station to precisely align the forward docking probe on the Progress to the aft port of the Zvezda service module. There will be a very, very brief period of station keeping to allow the Russian flight controllers the opportunity to check out the alignment of the Progress to the docking port before the commands are issued for final approach. At the time of docking, the Progress will be moving at a very slow rate, glacial rate of about 1/10 of a meter per second.
Yes, I'm sorry, not on ISS, but I didn't understand.
The journey of the Progress began 2 days ago, as we mentioned, with its launch from the Baikonur Cosmodrome. You see the view there in this replay of the Progress vehicle. It is enshrouded at the top of the third stage of the Soyuz 2.1A booster. The booster received its engine ignition command, and then the liftoff occurred at 9:25 p.m. Central Time on Wednesday evening, which was 8:25 a.m. Baikonur time on Thursday morning. You see the retraction of one of the two umbilicals that was buttressed up against the Progress vehicle that would initiate the engine start command. The engines take a few seconds to come up to full throttle before the hold-down posts are retracted to allow the Soyuz booster to lift off.
Oh, now we do have it. And
there is the engine command that occurred 2 days ago in Baikonur. The engines came up to flight speed, as did the turbo pumps. Engine ignition occurred, the hold-down posts there are retracting, and we had liftoff right on time at 9:25 p.m. Central Time to begin an 8-minute 45-second trip of the Soyuz booster to deliver the Progress into its preliminary orbit.
To read everything. Understood. It is not a stable signal yet. We'll wait. All right. Okay, okay, we do have capture here.
Принял.
Of the
And there's our view of the Progress resupply craft, the uncrewed vehicle that is carrying 2.7 tons of cargo for the International Space Station. As we mentioned, on board the station, the Expedition's 70 crew, some of them still asleep. They'll be awakened just a few minutes from now. The rest of the crew, the cosmonauts in particular, are awake, carefully monitoring the approach of the Progress as it closes to less than 4 meters away, 4 kilometers away from the International Space Station. We're about 18 and a half minutes away from the start of station keeping following the fly around that will commence less than 10 minutes from now.
Understood. We have a go for Toru activation. Continue the procedure in work.
And this is the view from the engineering overlay camera on the exterior of the Progress 87 cargo craft. You are familiar with that as you see the data that is being relayed back to the flight controllers at Russian Mission Control Center in Moscow. In the lower left-hand corner of your screen, you'll see the KM, that's the kilometers, that's the distance right now between the Progress and the station, 1.6 kilometers away, and the value right below it is the rate of closure, which at the moment is about 4.2 meters per second.
Copy. Let's go to page 21, perform the test.
The Progress is on course and on time to begin its fly around to the station about 8.5 minutes from now. Docking is scheduled just 32 minutes from now at 12:12 a.m. Central Time, 1:12 a.m. Eastern Time.
You should.
Both the flight control team here in Houston and the Russian mission control team in Korolyov have given a go for final approach and docking.
Handle test. Shall I report when I'm done or just report when I'm doing?
The International Space Station and the Progress are flying from northwest to southeast in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator, currently approaching the northern coast of New Zealand.
Screw up. All LEDs activated, no issues. To the right, to the left, clockwise, counterclockwise, no issues. Route test up. All LEDs nominally. To the right, to the left. No issues.
Вас понял.
Copy.
All of the testing of the Corps' automated rendezvous system as well as the Toru system have been reported to be complete, and all of the values have shaped up to be nominal. No issues there. The Corps system locking on to its comparable counterpart on the station side of the automated rendezvous system that is basically guiding in the Progress for its docking to the aft port of the Zvezda service module.
A bit exposed, a bit too bright.
The Impulse 5 burn, as it is called, a sort of course correction burn, a mid-course correction burn to fine-tune the path of the Progress to the International Space Station has been completed. We just went through a handover in communications between satellites on the tracking and data relay satellite system.
Okay, the work is off.
Тур у нас выполнен без замечаний.
Toru test complete.
And that report that the Turo test has been completed. Kononenko and Chub at the controls of the Toru, should it become necessary if there was a problem with the Corps' automated rendezvous system. There is a great view right there of the Progress as it continues to close in methodically for the start of its fly around of the station just about 5 minutes from now. There will be one more so-called impulse burn before that fly around begins. It will be a 92-degree radial fly around of the station to precisely align the forward docking probe on the Progress with the aft port of the Zvezda service module. And the Impulse 6 burn is now underway again, yet another in the series of slight course correction burns, fine-tuning the alignment of the Progress with the station for the beginning of its fly around about 4 minutes from now. And video there now of the external camera on the Progress vehicle looking dead square on the International Space Station at a distance of 600 meters, closing at a rate of 1.6 meters per second. Again, we're about 550 meters separating the Progress from the International Space Station as the two vehicles fly over the Coral Sea, moving from northwest to southeast just off the eastern coast of Australia. Less than 3 minutes away from the initiation of the fly around by the Progress. Again, this will be a 92-degree radial fly around. And there's a view of the Progress from cameras on board the International Space Station as it prepares to begin this fly around that will align it to the aft port of the Zvezda service module. As we approach the fly around range, the Progress disappearing behind the Canadarm2, the station's robotic arm. Now just 400 meters separating the two vehicles. Progress closing at a rate of 1.3 meters per second. And the fly around now has begun. So the fly around underway. This is an automated maneuver by the Progress through its onboard computers that will ultimately align it to the aft port of the Zvezda service module. That service module having launched in July of 2000. This is Mission Control Houston. Again, a view of the uncrewed Progress 87 cargo craft in the final minutes of its 2-day journey from the launch pad at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan for an automated docking to the aft port of the Zvezda service module, docking scheduled about 23 minutes from now. The fly-around, the radial fly-around of the Progress to align itself to the service module and its docking port is underway. The solar arrays of the Soyuz vehicle that is docked to the International Space Station clearly in view as the Progress disappears behind the solar array of that Soyuz vehicle, continuing its fly-around to align itself with the aft port of the Zvezda service module. About 5 more minutes left in the fly-around before a very, very brief period of station keeping. Progress now just 230 meters away from the station. Its rate of closure steadily slowing, now at about 0.2 of a meter per second. Everything going by the book in preparation for the start of station keeping. The aft end of the service module is just over the top of the crosshairs, distinguished by the Lyra communications antenna on the module. Progress continues its fly-around to align itself with the aft port of the Zvezda service module. Good view of the Progress as it steadily approaches its home for the next several months. Cosmonauts Oleg Kononenko and Nikolai Chub, who launched to the station last September with NASA astronaut Laurel O'Hara. They are in the service module itself at a workstation, manning a joystick for the Toru telerobotically operated rendezvous system. That would be the backup rendezvous system that they would take over control of the flying of the Progress from in the unlikely event an issue would crop up with the core's system during the final minutes before docking. So far, core's is rock solid, guiding the Progress to where it's supposed to be for the start of station keeping less than 4 minutes from now.
MCC Moscow ISS on space ground. We see that there is
Экипаж, у нас примерно 55-56 минут.
55, 56 minutes. We're going to have a dropout in comm on space ground, so switch to ISS line 2. Copy. 190 is range for course data. Rotating.
Да, наблюдаем разворот в крене, также.
Yes, we see rotation. We also see the ISS.
The Progress is currently rotating itself in a roll program to precisely align its solar arrays at the proper angle for final approach for docking. And the Progress now reported to be perfectly aligned with the docking port at the aft end of Zvezda. You can see jet firings as the Progress automatically maneuvers itself to the proper alignment for the start of just a few seconds worth of station keeping. That'll be coming up momentarily. The station in progress flying over the South Pacific as the Progress completes its alignment to the aft port of the Zvezda service module. We've moved into a handover between satellites, and the tracking and data relay satellite system will reacquire communications from the station momentarily. We will also be moving into a period of an orbital sunset a short time from now.
Вас понял. Выдали, работу отключили, контролируем начало автоматического причаливания. Принято, дальность 180, набираем скорость на причаливание. Принял вас. Напоминаю, что примерно в 6 минут у нас ожидается вход в тень. Будьте готовы. Дальность 170, 08.
The Progress is steadily moving in for its docking to the International Space Station about 15 minutes from now. A good view of the Progress as it continues to obey its automatic computer commanding, firing its jets to slowly but surely move in for contact and capture. All quiet here in Mission Control in Houston as the flight control team watches over the Progress vehicle along with the Russian flight controllers outside of Moscow. Docking scheduled less than 14 minutes from now.
Range is 100, waiting for the target.
Понял.
The target with the overlay. Copy.
Everything aligning properly. You see the progress continuing its final approach for docking less than 100 meters away from the aft port of the Zvezda service module. This view again from the Progress cameras through MPEG video from the International Space Station. Just about 60 meters separating Progress. You're looking right down the barrel of the aft port of the Zvezda service module.
Copy.
Closure rate about 0.2 of a meter per second.
Попадание в S-бенде, да, мы приняли, все в порядке.
Progress now 50 meters away. You can see right at the bottom of the cylindrical aft port of Zvezda is that crosshair target. That is the docking target that the Core's automated rendezvous system hones in on to provide the final proper alignment for contact and capture.
Принял, отлично.
The Progress docking system power is on and functioning normally. Inside 40 meters now. We are about to move into an orbital sunset over the South Pacific as the Progress continues a flawless approach on its own automated control through the Core's automated rendezvous system, approaching at about 0.1 of a meter per second.
Принял вас. Напоминаешь, что с дальности 30 метров
Speaking
мы с вами
simultaneously,
курс не доверяем по дальности.
remember at the range of 30 meters, we don't trust course data. We rely on the visual observations. Copy.
Принял.
I am also activating the fly round.
Экипаж, выдаем увод разрешен.
ISS crew, send the back away enabled. Okay, copy. Sending back away enabled.
Продолжаем контроль, переходим на
Continue monitoring, move to page 24. Make sure that the crosshairs are in good shape. Copy.
Напоминаю, при
I also
необходимости
wanted to
поработать
remind
перед
you
встречей.
to work
Если
with
нужно.
the AGC mode if needs be. So far, the view looks good.
Принял вас.
Copy.
Inside 30 meters, everything proceeding normally. You can see the crosshair docking target right at the bottom of the cylindrical aft port of the Zvezda service module. As planned, the crosshairs are aligning with that docking target.
20 meters is the range per the rover.
Понял, отлично.
Copy. Range rate is inaudible. Copy. Everything is great.
Oleg Kononenko reporting everything looking great from his perspective inside the service module.
– 17 is the range per the rover.
17 meters away.
Copy.
метров.
12 meters.
Принял вас.
Copy.
12 meters now separating progress from the docking port at the aft end of Zvezda. Everything has gone very well with the approach and the alignment of the forward docking probe on the Progress with the docking target that you see almost right at the center of the crosshairs.
Принял, подходим к 9.
We're approaching 9-meter range. Copy. Range is 0. Range rate is 0.11. Copy. The target from the VKO center is
Вас понял, да, наблюдаем
shifted.
небольшое смещение.
Is slightly askew. Yes, we see it's slightly shifted. Range per the ruler is 6 meters. Range rate is 0.12. It's great. Range is 6.
Moments away from docking, just 6 meters separating Progress from the station, closing at a rate, as expected, of about 1/10 of a meter per second.
Range is 4 meters. The eclipse is starting. Copy. Range is 3 meters.
Принял 3.
Now inside 3 meters.
Range is 2. Range rate is 0.1.
Принял вас. Ожидаем
Copy.
касания.
I'm waiting for.
Just 1 meter away, standing by for contact and capture.
We see that there is a roll bias.
Принято.
Target is inaudible. Comments about target is inaudible.
And we have contact.
12.
Contact confirmed. Capture confirmed.
Yes. We
Docking
have
confirmed at
capture.
12:06 a.m. Central Time, 1:06 a.m. Eastern Time, as the Progress of the International Space Station flew 260 miles over the South Pacific.
Have docked, and we're now.
The station now in free drift, preventing any perturbations as the initial retraction of the Progress docking probe begins.
Copy.
A flawless journey from Baikonur to the International Space Station, spanning 2 days. The uncrewed ISS Progress 87 cargo craft is home. Just to recap, everything went very smoothly, no issues with the automated approach of the Progress 87 cargo craft that is in the process of mechanically linking up to the International Space Station. Once the relative motion of the two docking interfaces dampen out, the docking probe in the process of retracting, and then hooks will close to form a hard mate between the two vehicles. Progress delivering 2.7 tons of food, fuel, and supplies for the Expedition 70 crew on board the International Space Station. Once again, the docking of the Progress vehicle to the International Space Station occurred at 12:06 a.m. Central Time, 1:06 a.m. Eastern Time, as the station and the Expedition 70 crew flew 260 miles over the South Pacific.
5-2, you need to check into one parameter. Please open the radiogram.
We're waiting for the final retraction of the docking probe to initiate the closing of the hooks to form a hard mate between the newly arrived Progress and the aft docking port of the Zvezda service module.
You need to check to see if there's a check mark on the output display.
The forward docking probe has fully retracted now, and hooks are beginning to close.
Nikolai, MPEG-2 LAN output, there is no check mark. Could you please put the check mark in there? Okay, I put the check mark in there.
We are standing by for the closing of the hooks to form a hard mate between Progress and the International Space Station.
Okay, copy all. Thank you. You can cancel the recordings in both places. Please downlink video of IOC.
And we now have confirmation that the hooks have closed, so Progress is mechanically captured, and we have a hard mate between the Progress and the Zvezda service module to complete tonight's operation. Back here in Mission Control, the team of flight controllers watching over their consoles as the beginning of the day on Saturday begins for the Expedition 70 crew. The cosmonauts had been awakened several hours earlier to prepare for the final approach and docking of the Progress resupply vehicle that occurred just about 6 minutes ago, with a docking flawlessly achieved at 12:06 a.m. Central Time, 1:06 a.m. Eastern Time. So the Progress is home. The resupply ship will undergo a series of leak checks before the hatches are opened to begin the process of unloading the 2.7 tons of cargo that was delivered by the Progress on a flawless 2-day journey from its launch pad of the Baikonur Cosmodrome to the International Space Station. So with that, we'll wrap up our coverage for this morning. The Progress has completed an event-free approach and docking to the International Space Station. Everything went perfectly.
And if you're just joining us, we were watching in as Progress arrived at the International Space Station with hard capture confirmed. That's going to do it for us here tonight. If you haven't yet, take a moment, make sure you engage that subscribe button and never miss another live launch coverage, docking, undocking, or return to Earth. We invite you to join us back here in just a few hours as India prepares to launch the GSLV Mark II. They're currently targeting 7:05 a.m. Eastern Time. We hope to have you back here for that, or back here on Sunday for the first Electron launch of 24 of February. We hope you'll have us join us back here for those. If not, we'll see you over on the Discord. But for now, from our TLP Canada studio, my name's Zach, and we'll see you next time because space is better together. Good night.